I'm drinking a gallon of water a day out of this tap. What have I been doing to myself?
From the time they switched, it was not drinkable. We knew about people losing their hair. We knew about people getting sick. We knew it was just horrific.
Flint is now getting its water from the Flint River. The switchover a little more than a month ago. It's not sitting well with some residents and businesses who say the water smells and they don't want to drink or even shower with it.
The city's utilities department flushing out water mains, hoping to eliminate bacteria that prompted a boil water advisory.
We were all pretty unhappy with the boil advisory. You know, like, oh, we're gonna boil our water. I was making some rice, so I had to boil the water before I boiled the water, essentially. But that was it. Still showered in it, still did everything else in it.
The Flint River is in fantastic shape.
Flint city officials insist Flint River water is good enough to drink, but it's been causing problems at General Motors.
In January of 2015, they sent a letter out that said that the water had TTHMs in it. And the TTHMs, you could not boil the water. If you boiled it or if it got too hot, the vapor was more harmful.
Flint's river water was treated, but its salt content was overlooked, causing piping to corrode.
Without corrosion controls in the water, like orthophosphates, chloride can begin to promote electrochemical reactions, where oxygen dissolved in the water can start to pull electrons away from the metal. This results in metals being leached out of the pipes, namely iron, copper, and lead. This is similar to how salt makes your car rust faster.
Flint, Michigan is now facing much more than just lead poisoning.
In the summer of 2014, people in Flint started dying in what would become one of the worst outbreaks of Legionnaire's disease in U.S. history.
Between June 2014 and November 2015, there were 87 cases in which 10 people ended up dying.
The state stopped our investigation. They prohibited communication between the Center for Disease Control and Genesee County Health Department. You could see that it was an intentional, deliberate method to prevent us from doing our job.
I feel like it was the spring of 15, and you started to see people posting pictures of jugs of brown water or bathtubs full of water.
Freaking ridiculous.
I want you to see the nice water that I have to pay for.
Apparently now, when you live in Flint, you got to worry about water.
This is not a big debate. This is nothing that nobody can figure out.
In Flint, Michigan, we pay more for water than any other city or state. We pay more for water we can't drink, water we can't cook with, water we can't bathe with. All we use it for is to flush it down the toilet, but we got to pay for it.
We have not used the baptism pool in the last couple of years because the water is so bad that after we found out we couldn't drink it, we wouldn't dare try to baptize nobody in it.
One time when we got out the pool and dried off, we all had rashes on us.
I think that the people who knew about it was at fault because something could have been done a whole lot sooner. My question is, why did it have to get to this?
The governor who appointed 2 city managers to run Flint with almost unlimited powers.
It was the governor's emergency manager running Flint who ordered the switch.
I think he's very culpable. I mean, he helped appoint these emergency managers.
It was done to save money.
You make business decisions like that, you don't care anything about the people.
Let me start here. Anyone who is concerned about lead in the drinking water in Flint can relax. There is no broad problem right now that we've seen with lead in the drinking water in Flint.
When nobody pays your attention, when nobody listens, what do? You keep screaming, you keep hollering, you keep fighting, and the Lord will send help. And he sent Virginia Tech.
When the folks from Virginia Tech came up, that's when I started to go, okay, this has to change.
It was the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality's responsibility to make sure that the city of Flint dosed appropriate corrosion control into the water. That's a federal law, and they violated that federal law.
For some reason, Flint is the only city in the country who does not have a federally approved corrosion control program in place.
A friend of mine, Kevin, he lives across the street from basically ground zero for all of this.
Leanne Walters can only wonder out loud what the future holds for her 4-year-old son, Gavin. He was diagnosed with extremely high blood levels of lead.
He lived right across the street from her. And she was the one who started talking to, I believe it was Dr. Mark Edwards from Virginia Tech.
She had the city come and test her water twice, and both times they found elevated levels of lead. And she tried to work with the Department of Environmental Quality to address this problem, but they said that they wouldn't help her.
Emergency Manager Ambrose and Mike Prisby from the DEQ called me a liar and a stupid in the public meeting about the water bottles that I brought in full of my brown water.
And though the Rick Snyder administration in Michigan and local officials kept saying everything was okay, even after some of them knew it wasn't okay.
She wasn't taken seriously until she was finally backed up by the medical community and science.
The lead levels have been going down in children.
For decades.
For decades, and in the city of Flint. They've been going down every single year. But after this water switch happened, they spiked up.
Unfortunate situation that I do apologize for.
Willful blindness to the pain and suffering of Flint residents.
We have no choice. We answer to one man, and that is the governor of Michigan, Snyder. And so if he want to take control, he want to be in charge, then he have to be accountable for what has happened to our communities.
Anyone who is concerned about lead in the drinking water can relax.
Governor Snyder, do you admit that you personally received a letter on January 18, 2015 from Flint's mayor begging you to take action and warning, quote, there is nothing more important in Flint right now than fixing the water problems?
I received a letter from the mayor dated that, and I took action on items within that letter.
Relax.
You didn't go to Flint until October 2015, is that right?
I don't know if that's correct or not.
Relax.
And there you are, dripping with guilt, withdrawing your paycheck, hiring lawyers at the expense of the people, and doing your dead level best to spread accountability to others.
Relax.
Your Department of Environmental Quality was, quote, primarily responsible for the crisis in Flint. Do you also admit that here today?
Yes, and I took actions immediately based on their recommendations.
Your task force found that your officials at MDEQ did not implement corrosion control, which, quote, led directly to the contamination of the Flint water system.
Relax.
Lead is an irreversible neurotoxin that causes problems with your cognition, your IQ, your behavior. Our whole community has been traumatized. They are psychologically traumatized from this exposure.
I'd like to just have a full battery of tests done to see if anything has changed, because while I feel healthy, I have absolutely no idea what's going on inside. And for me, the biggest takeaway is, what has this done potentially to me and to my wife and anybody else who might have been drinking it and not knowing?
You have a choice. We don't have a choice. It hasn't been a choice.